Hello, everyone. I'm Scott Higgins, along with ORU's Director of Sports Medicine, John Joslin. John, how are we doing today?
So far, so good. It's a beautiful day. As you can see, I'm sitting on the back porch right now, enjoying the sunshine, and I have a 12-year-old lab laying on my feet as we speak. So I've got a new buddy during this pandemic. He hasn't left my side since I've been home.
Well, it sounds like, relatively speaking, during this pandemic, you're doing okay as you work from home?
Yeah, it's been odd. It's been weird. I'm so used to getting up and headed to the office at 7 in the morning and leaving at 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock at night, depending on ball games. But yeah, it's been I guess the new word is the new abnormal.
Yes, exactly.
It's been weird. It's been odd. I'm one of these guys that I've got to get up and go, and it's definitely made you put life into perspective, being stuck at home.
Well, John, it's certainly possible that some of our athletes will get injured working out from home this summer. They'll get a little banged up, possibly. How do you manage their sports medicine during the pandemic?
Well, you're right, Scott. They do. This has happened just every year, just not this year. We have kids go home, and the strength coaches will put them on an exercise regimen, and some kids get hurt. And we just had a kid get hurt the other day. But typically, what we do now with the pandemic is we can't call them and say, "Hey, get into the training room. Let's take a look at it," or let's see you whenever you can get by. Nowadays, FaceTime has been an unbelievable asset to us that we can utilize to visit with the kid, get them insight on the telephone and talk to them and discuss what's happening, and then guide them on where we go from there.
Is it really much different than a typical summer vacation when the kids are away, although some are here for summer school?
Yeah, it is a whole lot different in some aspects. We typically have kids around that we're in the training room still. We're still working in the athletic training room.
Sure.
We just don't have the number of kids.
Everybody gets back this fall. What precautions are you and your staff going to need to take to treat these kids?
Well, that's a great question. We don't know yet all the answers to it. We know that we're definitely going to have to clean more often every time a student athlete comes in the training room and gets off of a table or gets off of a piece of equipment, that we're going to have to clean that. Typically we would clean as needed, or definitely at the end of the night.
Sure.
Now, just like I went to the dentist yesterday, they held me outside and took my temperature, and then I was allowed into the room, and then they unlocked the door, they opened the door. I'm not sure if we're going to be that strict or that regimented, but there's definitely going to be some changes. I think we're definitely going to have to limit our numbers of student athletes in the athletic training room at a time, where it almost became a hangout place for, especially the aerobic center. It
Sure.
became a hangout for kids just to come in and chit chat with each other and watch a kid, get treatment or sit down with them and study or things like that. I think it's going to be a whole lot different. We're definitely going to have to limit, but the CDC is really going to have to guide us. And I know the NCAA may set some parameters as well for us. So it's a wait and see right now. Like everybody in America is, it's wait and see.
Yes, it sounds like the whole sports medicine industry as a whole will be different going forward, won't it?
Absolutely. And again, we just don't know what those differences are going to be, but we anticipate that there's going to, something is going to come from on high to tell us when and where and how to do it. Go ahead, Scott.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are there any specific procedures that you feel like will now become the new normal that maybe weren't in place before this?
Yeah, obviously the limiting of student athletes in the training room at a time, but if Lord willing, we're able to get supplies that we're asking for of mask and more abundance of gloves and things like that. We may end up having to do thermometer testing of students when they come in, especially for a student athlete that calls in or tells us, "Hey, I'm sick."
Sure.
We're definitely going to have to use the cell phone or FaceTime with those student athletes. And right before we all got kicked off of campus, it was one of those things. We had some sick kids, and we told them, "Hey, don't come in. Kind of call us and let us know what's going on, and let's discuss this over the phone before you walk on campus." And we may be distributing masks to student athletes that are sick.
Well, that's a good point. You treat not only injuries, but also sickness. You may have a kid that calls you in the middle of the night saying, "I feel like I've got the flu." Now you all have to really become familiar with those symptoms of coronavirus, don't you?
Absolutely. Yeah. And as we have learned over the weeks here, the symptoms have changed.
Yes.
Just recently, the symptom of the taste and smell has been added to that. When we first found out about it, it was fever and dry cough and just feeling terrible. And they have added more and more symptoms to that. So, yeah, our staff is definitely going to have to keep up with that. And the other thing that we have done, with me being home, is I've been in constant communication with our team physicians.
Sure.
Not the orthopedic physicians, but our family medicine physicians, specifically Dr. Cunningham, who has now taken over for Dr. Emmel. We've been in constant communications with him. One of the things that we're concerned about right now is every year in the spring, we do a mass amount of student athletes physicals.
Yes.
And we didn't get one physical done. I spoke to our neighbors up north of us at the University of Tulsa, and they're in the same boat. They've got 400 athletes that they have to do physicals on. We're in the same boat. We've got, several hundred athletes that we have to do physicals on, and we served by the same physicians. And we're trying to coordinate that on how do we do this? How do we do it safely? And how do we do it efficiently?
Big problem. I understand that. The other thing I'm thinking about is in the middle of a game, somebody gets hurt, and the sports med folks, they can't maintain 6 feet of distance. They got to get in there and take a look at a guy's ankle or take a look at a player's whatever. That's going to be a challenge, isn't it?
It is. And, that boils back to the CDC. Are they going to allow us to have sports, one? And are they going to limit this social distancing by the time we start back to sports? Are we going to be able to shake hands and give a person a hug or whatever?
John, in closing now, you treat a lot of athletes. They look to you, your staff, everybody else. What encouraging words do you have for those who may just be anxious about the way things are going today?
Well, probably the most encouraging thing we could say is let's pray for the scientists and the doctors, the healthcare workers out there. We really hope that these physicians and scientists can come up with not a cure, but at least a vaccine or a better treatment for this, so we all can get back to the new normal or the new abnormal, whatever it's going to be. Some sort of normal we would like to get back to. But I would say we really need to pray for them and protect them and help them find out something to slow this thing down.
Absolutely. John, thank you very much for your time today.
You bet. I've enjoyed it. Good to see you.